Hey everybody, welcome to the Dad Challenge podcast. I have an amazing special guest today. I'm very excited. I actually realized I've been following this person for years. I'm kind of fangirling, I'm not gonna lie. It's pretty cool. It is Paul V. Stenson from the White Moose Cafe, which is a hotel and a eatery, restaurant. I don't know. He's gonna tell me all about it. Hey everybody, welcome to the Dad Challenge podcast. Man, do I have a special guest for you today. Somebody that I've been following for years, and I reached out to him and I just said, hey, like, should we talk? And he said, yes. And I was like, yes. So if you guys don't know anything about White Moose Cafe, it is an incredible online, I mean, he's got a great social media, but they are a hotel and a restaurant and everything else. But at its core is Paul V. Stenson, heretofore now known as Paul, coming on the show to talk a little bit about everything. And I think with this Ellie Darby thing happening, we're gonna have a great conversation. And he kind of lives in this world and can shed some light on things that we don't even know. And I think it's really cool. So Paul, thanks for joining me on the show today.
An absolute pleasure to be here, Josh. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and again, I'm fangirling a little bit because I've been following you for years, and it's a pleasure to see you. I think that one thing that really, for me, stood out to follow you is because you kind of just say the things that we're thinking. You got the balls to say it. You say you're not afraid to hold back on your opinions, and even if it's generally not something that you might mean, but you're funny, and a lot of it's in light, but a lot of it actually makes sense, and people follow you because of that. So, what do you think? Like, tell me a little bit about White Moose, how this all started, even from origins before Facebook and before all social media.
Well, when you say that I say stuff that I don't mean, I always mean what I say.
That's exactly, yeah.
And I suppose we use social media a little bit differently. We use humor to condition our customers to behave themselves. And with every humorous post, whether it's, threatening to put Valium in the fruit juice of screaming babies, or barring bloggers or vegans, there's always a serious underlying message that gets across.
Yeah.
So, for example, the time we asked for a doctor's note for people looking for gluten-free food, since then,
I remember that.
Yeah. Well, it made worldwide headlines at that time as well. But people have stopped looking for gluten-free food now, because remember, about 35% of the population look for gluten-free food, whereas in reality, less than 1% of the population is celiac. Mm-hmm. And, a celiac is somebody that I sympathize with because they genuinely can't eat gluten. If they do, they'll get very ill. Mm-hmm. But the rest of the 34%, they were told by Fidelma in Holland and Barrett that they'll lose weight if they give up gluten or something like that. Mm-hmm. So these people, I think, are suffering from a psychological disorder, more psychological than actually gastrointestinal. So that's one controversy you may have heard of.
Yep.
But there's been plenty. But as I said, we use humor to make our customers behave themselves, and it works.
And to put across some points, regardless of where you stand in the aisle, use satire, and that, it to me again is something that not a lot of people kind of understand. Sometimes some people will, and I have to go back. I don't mean what you didn't mean. I meant to say things that you weren't trying to be mean. You're just trying to be funny, and I love that. And so satire is this. You're seeing this explode on the internet right now with Babylon Bee and Libs of TikTok and all these crazy sites that I follow, where they're using satire to bring forward information in a funny way so that people can think of it. But there always is an edge of truth to that satire, to that hilarity anyway. And that's why I think that's so successful for you.
100%. There's always some truth to a joke. There's always some truth to a joke. And I guess we have been able to do it in a fairly successful way. And, I suppose we say what you're feeling, but are too scared to say. Yeah, that's what the White Moose is, in a nutshell. We will speak our minds. We might lose customers over it, but we will gain more. And like the White Moose Cafe, so we've 4 cafes in Dublin now. But like the one in Phibsborough, the OG White Moose, has 35 seats. Okay. And when we started out, we don't want those 35 seats occupied by whingers and moaners and people who are going to complain and write negative TripAdvisor reviews. Yeah. We want them to be occupied by happy people who, don't live their lives. They don't take life too seriously. It's like a positive vibe in the cafe, and that transfers across to the staff. Then the team,
exactly,
because all it takes is one miserable old git of a customer to get our team in a bad mood, and we don't want that. We want to be happy and positive and loving it.
Okay, I want to go back to the origins, the OG White Moose. So let's get to the. So did you start White Moose? Tell me about the origins. Give me the MC origin story before you were the superhero you are today.
Sure. So my folks bought a hotel in Dublin in 1994, the Charleville Lodge, and I took over in 2003. The hotel resembled something that you'd see in The Shining. It was like it was like a horror show. And there was a breakfast room there. So there's 30 bedrooms, but the breakfast room, had deep mahogany tables and kind of burgundy linen tablecloths. And it was like a horrible, horrible place. And it was only open for the guests of the hotel for breakfast. But we decided then in 2015 to open it up to the public, because about 3 minutes walk from where we are, there's a new university where there's 20,000 students.
Okay.
So we said, look, we may as well embrace the new student market and open up a cafe. And we called it the White Moose. I'd love to be able to come up with a very romantic explanation as to why it's called the White Moose, but in reality, I don't have an explanation. We have a wall in the cafe where you've like scattered pieces of art and whatnot, and at the very top there's a white moose. And my ex-partner and I, one day, we were trying to come up with the name for the cafe, and we looked at each other and then looked up at the White Moose on the wall and said, White Moose Cafe. And I said, I like it. Let's go.
Imagine you look somewhere else. Why do you call this the Salt Shaker house? Well, we looked at a salt shaker on the table, and so it would have been just matter what you looked at, which was awesome. And I'm glad, and I like it because I'm Canadian, and moose are our Canadian protector of the shield. They're amazing. Have you ever seen a moose in real life?
Well, I haven't, because you don't get many mooses in Ireland, but there is such thing as a white moose. You know that?
Yes, I do know that. And
rare, but it's very rare. It's only 400 of them in the world. 400. So it's an extremely rare thing.
Which is, it's very fitting for your thing. So 2050 you launch, students are coming to eat. What prompts you to start to get online and start being the funniest a-hole ever?
Okay, so there was, back in 2016 or so, Garth Brooks was going to be playing 5 concerts in Dublin. Okay. And there was uproar with the residents' associations. They didn't want, 5 concerts going on. And then they made a complaint to Dublin City Council. There was all sorts of subcommittee meetings and, various different, lots of red tape and bureaucracy to go through. And eventually he was only allowed to play 3, and he said, no, it's 5 or nothing. And there was a big controversy. So we were very much in the dark as to whether Garth Brooks was going to play or not in Dublin. And a friend of mine who works in Croke Park, the stadium where he was going to play, said to me, Paul, we're getting in all the stock. We know for sure that he's definitely going to play all 5 nights. Now, this wasn't public knowledge. Mm-hmm. So I said, right, okay. Well, look, I'm going to go on to the Charleville Lodge Facebook page now, which had about 3,000 followers.
Okay.
And I'm going to, tell the world that these concerts are going to go ahead. And so I typed some sort of a post which went something like, I can't tell you how I know, but I can confirm that Garth Brooks will be playing all 5 nights in Croke Park. This post went completely viral around Ireland. News outlets started picking up on it, and it was like, does this hotel know something we don't? And it was like, we were the talk of the town for that evening, and like shared widely, and so about 3 hours later, RTE, which is the national broadcaster here, broke the news that he wasn't playing at all.
Oh, shit.
And it pissed off an awful lot of angry Garth Brooks fans, and who all started to kind of, come down on us and shower down on us with hate and like vitriol and Jesus Christ, So what a normal person might have done in that situation was, said, "Oh, the Facebook page was hacked,"
Yeah.
but I didn't. I wrote up a status with one word, "Oops," and that really annoyed people, and and as people were writing kind of nasty comments, I would reply in my usual way in the comments section, and my replies would get kind of multiple numbers of the likes that the original would get. And I said, I kind of thought to myself, I realized there's a bit of an appetite for this.
Oh yeah,
and a bit of people kind of like a bit of mischievousness and a bit of divilment, and that's the first time it happened, and it's been going from strength to strength ever since. So that was the origin, I guess, of our madness, our antics.
So I gotta stop you there. Why the hell did Garth Brooks not just play 3 shows? Why did he be an asshole like that?
I don't know.
That's just silly.
Greed?
Just silly. Because I mean, especially a big thing like that is going to be good for all restaurants and things around town, right? Which is why you were hoping that would happen, right?
Absolutely. The local economy would have benefited by millions, but it was greed. It was greed.
Well, Garth Brooks, you're not welcome at the White Moose Cafe, even if you want to go there. So it's not too bad. Probably don't allow this man in. So let's go on to the next kind of thing. So honestly, I don't want to hear all your stories. I think that I'm trying to convince Paul to launch a podcast, and I hope he does, and I think he will. So I want to hear all those stories there. But I'm going to ask you just a bunch of questions because I'm super interested now because of your wide following. Here's a question. Who is the most famous person to eat at the White Moose Cafe?
Who was the most famous person who was? Well, okay.
I don't know.
Have you heard of a band called Westlife?
Yes, I have. Yeah, my wife loves them.
Yeah. Okay.
They ate there.
So, well, one of them ate there. Okay, but so this is the typical type of thing I do. So, a guy called Cian Egan, who was a band member in Westlife. He was the one who never sang. He just danced and mimicked. But so he came in one day. He arrived in his G-Wagon, his brand new G-Wagon. And so that was that. I wasn't there at the time, but I got a few texts, the WhatsApp group. Cian Egan is here. And I said, right, okay. See if he'll get a photo with you. Right, okay. So they got a photo. And so I then went and put it up on Instagram. But like a normal person would have said, thank you to Cian Egan for coming in. And I'm like, no. We're going to call him, what did I call him?
Do you call him a backup singer or backup?
No. So there's another Irish band called Boyzone. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Yes, I do. I absolutely do.
So they're kind of rival boy bands, if you like. So I called him, was it Steve? Nicky Byrne. I said it was Nicky Byrne, okay? So Nicky Byrne, another band member in Westlife, but I said, thank you so much to Nicky Byrne from Boyzone for coming in.
You like doubled down on the offensiveness. I love it. That's great.
And then, of course, the purpose of that is that's Cian. And the moment the comments like that come in their droves is the moment the post gets more organic reach.
Yeah, what you've done inadvertently is attacked an algorithm that held in your favor, and that's the brilliance of what you do, right? So I don't think a lot of people understand the back end of this whole world of social media, that some things are manufactured on purpose. You know how this happened when we were young, is they would manufacture drama among singers or actors in the papers, and it was fake. Generally fake because it brought attention. Now they do that here. I think here's a good example of what's going on in the States right now. I'm Canadian, so I know a lot about Canadian politics, but Florida is, if you're a Democrat, Florida is the hell on earth, Satan's butthole, right? Don't go there. It's full of COVID. You'll die, right? And AOC, who is a New York, is she a congresswoman or something like that? She's one of the most famous congresspeople in the U.S. She went to Florida and got her photo taken without a mask and did all this stuff. And everybody's calling her out as a hypocrite. But that is absolutely 100% manufactured. She is brilliant regardless of her politics, at doing that in the media. She is something that doesn't mean a lot that she was unmasked, but it did so much to get her trending. And it's completely done on purpose, and she achieved it every single. And a lot of people in politics and in social media use these things to boost their profiles to do that, and it's brilliant, actually, if you think about it.
So she knows how to play the system, if you like,
big time.
So do we, I guess.
And with minuscule things that don't actually really matter in the end. So she'll say things or do things that in the end you'll forget because it didn't really matter at the time, but it was hot button at the time, like you do.
Well, 2 weeks later, it's forgotten about. And like sometimes we land ourselves in hot water, but 2 weeks later, people forget about why we were in the news, but they remember that we were in the news. Now, I don't know if that's going to be the case for a certain English blogger, but it may be. I think it probably, you know what? I think it probably will be. I think it probably will be. I think it'll blow over. Now, I have a very, you'll notice this, Josh, that I have a serious tendency to go off on tangents here. So, like,
no, I love it. And a good storyteller does it well without keeping you bored or like, what's next? You're enthralled with just the way you storytell, which I think your podcast is going to be. The stories that you have to tell are amazing. So one more story, the most viral story of White Moose. What is it? What is the craziest thing you've done that got you the most shit and love?
I think it was probably, so there's a few big ones. There was World War V, which was the vegan. You're not vegan?
Oh, no, I'm not vegan. My co-host on my audio podcast is, but he would actually find it hilarious.
Yeah.
Like he's not the kind of guy that's like, oh, woe is me. He's like, he just does it because he wants to be healthier or whatever. I don't know. I make fun of him all the time too. But that is, I think, the big one that drew me to you. I think that's where I came on board. The vegan one was huge because that was, I think, if you're right, I think you're right. Of all the ones that people know White Moose for, the veganism one is probably the biggest.
Sure.
So walk me down that story. Don't, save it for your podcast, but give me a little bit here. Give me a taste.
So a couple came into the cafe one morning, and this is back in the early days when I actually did some work. So I was, you won't find me taking orders or serving tables anymore or bussing tables. But so back in the early days in 2016, a couple came in. They sat down, and they were German. And so he ordered his full Irish breakfast. And then I turned around to her and I said, now, what would you like yourself? And I am vegan. What have you for me? I said, well, look, we can do you a vegetarian breakfast, And I then explained what would be on the vegetarian breakfast. And she looked up at me with this miserable face. Is that all? And I kind of then thought, Jesus, the entitlement of some people, like I don't go into a vegan restaurant and look at a waiter with a miserable face when I can't get a steak, But anyway, so I put up a post that day saying, attention vegans, please don't waltz into our cafe and look at us as if we've 100 heads when there aren't 50,000 items on our menu to suit your idiosyncratic dietary requirements. And that kind of went, it went quite viral on the day, but nowhere near how viral it went about 2 weeks later when somebody picked up on the word idiosyncratic and mistook it for idiotic. And
which
this was a girl.
Is understandable why people would.
Well, I mean, they're not the same. The same. Yeah. So, but this vegan anyway thought I meant idiotic, and she went and plastered us all over every single vegan social networking's, platform, Facebook groups.
I remember that
all over the world, and then all of a sudden, hate started to again pour in, and I think our Facebook page got about 15,000 one-star reviews in about a 24-hour period. But again, I used my usual ways and I banned vegans. Yep. And then BuzzFeed picked up on it and like Daily Mail, and then all of a sudden we were all over the news, all over the world. But I suppose what we do and what's really important is that we never back down.
Exactly.
We stick to our guns, and we double down on whatever it is we do. We would never kind of apologize or back down. We stir the pot even more. and it's something I've termed outrage marketing.
Yes, brilliant. Yep.
And it does work because we have been very busy, and we are busy every day, and we now have 4 cafes, and people travel to us from pretty much all over the world to, as you're going to do one day, Josh, aren't you?
I absolutely will. And you know what, Paul? I'm going to pay for it my damn self.
Okay.
I'm going to pay for it out of my own pocket, and I'm going to tip really well, too.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I might even give it to you for free.
Oh, well.
Do you know why? Because you're not asking for it for free.
At least we'll trade hoodies. I'll send you a hoodie. You give me a White Moose hoodie. We'll do a little trade. I love it. That's a good segue, though. So this is what brought us together. So I'm currently covering Ellie Darby right now, and I had no idea who this fake-lipped, fake person with the weird eye was ever. I had no clue until obviously I got about 100 messages from this because I basically tear down family vloggers for exploiting children online. It's basically my shtick. I do that. I have a mission. I'm funny. I'm unapologetic like you are. I'll double down if I have to. But I did not see that video. When I tear down a video or I watch a video and react to it, I often don't watch it first ever. Like maybe 10% of the time I will watch one just to see where it's going. This one I had no idea. Okay. So as she's going through the video crying, woe is me with her weird face, she then mentions you guys. And I'm like, this is White Moose. This is like, I know this place. And this was a huge, this was a big one. Not your biggest, but this was a big one because you released your email with other information. So you didn't dox or anything. And then she came back, but didn't she gain a ton of followers and stuff from this as well? Like, can you tell me that story from your perspective?
Sure. So, one morning I was lying in bed and scrolling through my emails as you do. And I noticed this, email address to somebody in Charleville Lodge by the name of Hi There, and the last time I checked there was nobody called Hi There in the hotel. But anyway, I read, and I saw your video the other night, so you've read it out to your followers, so they're probably acutely aware of the contents of her email. A normal person might have said ignore. Mm-hmm. I rubbed my hands together thinking, right, okay. Let's go. So I said, okay, how do we play this? And so I posted the public response, but I did I thought I was blocking out her name and email address.
Yeah.
Somebody somewhere found out that if you zoomed in by like 500% and increased the brightness on you could actually make out. Now, that wasn't
don't mess with internet sleuthers. They will find a reflection in your eyeball if you've murdered somebody and you're done.
Oh yeah. There are people like that. But so it wasn't purpose. I did not do that on purpose. Mm-hmm. I thought it was fully blacked out, but I'm very glad it wasn't. If you
Yep.
So then obviously somebody sent it to her. I think she was in Primark, wasn't she?
Yeah, she said something about Primark, and I didn't know what that was, which is a clothing store in your area of the woods. Yeah.
And so all the messages came in, and then she took it upon herself to expose herself.
Yep.
So she did the 17-minute long video crying about how she was exposed. I didn't expose anybody. Like that, I think that video got 2.5 million views in about 24 hours. So I think it's gone now.
But anyway, well, I found it because someone re-uploaded it, so I found it because she did take it down eventually, which I don't know why she would. I mean, she probably realized that she was being ridiculous. That's probably what happened.
Yeah. But I played along, and there were other steps to this controversy that you may not be aware of. Mm-hmm. I then sent her. I banned all bloggers. The same way I did vegans, and that went completely viral as well. But then I sent her an invoice for something like 5.9 million euros for all of the publicity I had gotten her.
I see.
And then I did a kind of a Trump style press conference. Then which is on my YouTube channel, and basically kind of taking the complete piss. But it was good controversy. But the reach of that controversy alone, Josh, So a PR company here in Dublin ran the numbers and found that the white moose was mentioned in 473 news articles across 43 countries. And if we were to pay, to have our name mentioned in those publications, you'd be looking at something in the region of 8.4 million euro.
Euros.
So, yeah.
Hold on a second. Alexa, what is 8 million euros in Canadian?
8 million euros is 11,500,220 Canadian dollars.
$11,500,000 of free advertising in my dog. Holy shit!
And the reach was 800 million people. Now her reach, so White Moose Cafe's reach was 800 million people. Do you know what her reach was?
What?
2.1 billion.
Holy shit! So she cleaned up on this, and so
Cleaned up.
Wow. So that's why you sent the bill, which is I didn't know that. That's hilarious. Did she ever reach out to you afterwards? No, that was it. She collected and moved on, and it was mutually beneficial, but at the same time, this was a precursor to what we discovered who she really was in the end. Anyway, right? We found out, and we don't have to rehash all that stuff. It's the funny story is funny. She's now being completely canceled, and it's karma. It's everything that she deserves, and her boyfriend or whatever. They've done some craziness, and I love your post. You actually did. What was the post that you just released about that situation? You said something recently.
I said, asking for 5 free nights in a hotel over Valentine's Day in return for some exposure on your social media is almost forgivable. Mm-hmm. But like being blatantly racist is not.
Exactly. Yeah,
so that's what I said. So I think she's a silly girl.
Yeah. Have you ever had anybody else? I mean, pre-ban of vloggers and influencers reach out to you? Is that something that often happens to you? I mean, it's worth a conversation for someone who runs pretty successful, especially in Ireland, which is, I know Ireland's it's not very big, but you're worldwide. So are you getting a lot of these messages from influencers saying, I want to stay there, I want to do this? Is that something that happens all the time?
We have in the past, since that controversy received some, but not as many, as pre Bloggergate, I call it. But I think people are wise to us now, and they don't.
And if they're not, they're dumb. If they don't do their research, that's their own fault.
Absolutely.
Now, what is the list of people who are not allowed to dine at your place of business?
Vegans, bloggers. That's about it.
Okay, so I've got a friend who is one of my mods. On YouTube, I have mods. And one of my friends, she asked me to ask you this, so before we'll talk a little bit more, but her name is Allison, and she asked me to ask you if you remember the night that you were serenaded by somebody in the Mint bar. As a joke, someone said it was your birthday, and it was like a double prank. Do you remember this?
In the Mint bar?
She's redhead. She's very, very talented singer. She's like, ask him about the time it wasn't his birthday, and we serenaded him in the Mint bar as a joke.
So I know where the Mint bar is. It's in the Westin Hotel in Dublin. I've been in it many, many times. I think I do. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. I'll let her. She's gonna chat. She will be fangirling. She loves you. She thinks you're awesome. Yeah. I think you are a staple in Ireland. Is your type of humor, from someone who's never been to Ireland, is that kind of representative of the type of, people Irish people are? Like you're unapologetically honest, you just tell people how it is, or is that somewhere else?
I don't think it's necessarily Irish, but we do take the piss here in Ireland quite a lot. No,
I hear this phrase all the time, and now I think I know what it means. Like you're making fun of somebody, but I like the idea of taking the piss. I'm going to culturally appropriate that term, and I'm going to use it on my channel as much as I possibly can. Yeah. Give me the idea of this. We're getting to food because I'm actually hungry right now. What is this Irish breakfast? Tell me about this. Or it's an Irish breakfast, right?
Oh, yeah.
Tell me about this. Tell me about this thing.
Don't call it English. See, in England, they have a full English breakfast as well.
Right. But this is an Irish breakfast.
Far superior to the English breakfast, yeah.
Please delimitate the two and tell me what is superior about the Irish breakfast. And I need to know what's on it because I'm actually coming out to get one.
So it's an Irish breakfast is a really rich kind of heavy fried breakfast, which consists of bacon, sausage, hash brown, egg of your choice, fried, scrambled, or poached, fried mushrooms, fried tomato, baked beans, black pudding, white pudding.
What's black pudding?
See, this is to try and explain this now. You don't have pudding at all in Canada, do you?
We have pudding, but it's like chocolate pudding and like butterscotch. It's not the same.
So it's like a big sausage, okay?
Okay.
And
looking it up.
Yeah, but it's made with the blood of pigs.
Is it good?
It's beautiful.
Oh, it looks good. It's like a patty. Okay, I'm down.
Yeah.
I like that.
But when you go in to explain that it's made from pig's blood, and it kind of sounds a bit gross, but it's actually really nice.
Okay, I'm down. And white sausage as well. Okay, continue.
So, and then toast. So you get a side of toast, and then you get tea or coffee as well. So that's a full Irish breakfast.
What is the caloric intake of one of these breakfasts?
Probably about 15,000. Sorry, 1,500. Probably about 15,000.
Like, oh shit! It's like a 5 days worth of class. So again, I can't like. Did anybody ever eat that whole thing?
Oh yeah, it's our most popular. It's our most popular dish.
I've seen it multiple times. I'm just very excited about it.
We do healthy options as well. You know.
Yeah. So, have you ever had someone come? Like, have you ever had anybody like protest? Has it gotten to that level?
We've had people threaten to protest,
but never really happened.
So, no. There was a few people. So there was one time I did a post BYOB. So you know BYOB, bring your own booze or bring your own beer. So I did a bring your own boob, right? For because there was a lady in the center of the cafe one day. The tits were out, on display, and there was a baby.
She's breastfeeding.
and which is fine. Like, I mean, if you want to breastfeed your baby in front of people, absolutely, that's no problem. But we have milk for sale. That's perfectly good. So so I did a BYOB corkage charge. So if you want to breastfeed your baby, that's fine, but we will charge you €5 per breast, or $7.50 for two, because you can't be bringing in your own milk when we have perfectly, because you can't be bringing in, you can't come in with a McDonald's Coke.
Yeah, no, unacceptable.
So similarly, you can't be coming in and feeding your baby with your milk.
I cannot imagine how that went over. I can't.
Oh, brilliant!
I love it.
It was like,
I mean,
but come here. I mean, Josh, I have nothing against women breastfeeding. It's all just a little bit of fun, It's all a little bit of fun.
And I think that's why your following is growing to where it's growing. People, the people who have their brain on right, who don't get offended by everything in the world, can see that it's fun. And I think that we're kind of, if anything, we can, bring this to a head, is that let's start having a little bit of fun again. Let's stop being offended by absolutely everything that happens on Earth. And I think that we are seeing a slight, the winds are shifting a little bit towards, let's get back to being funny, not being offended. And I think people just want to have joy again. And I think White Moose Cafe, for me specifically, for the past 7 years that I've been following you, it's, and that's crazy that I didn't even realize it until it came back, that this is the same thing, and it's connected so many people, and you've got such a great following, a lot of great people that come out. And I imagine that a lot of people that do visit Ireland now come because you're there. So you're not only good for local, but you're good for your whole region, which I think is amazing. They should give you the damn city, or the key. They should give you the key to the damn city.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, that does happen, but I do think I do accept your point in relation to, I think political correctness has plateaued.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, because it was getting out of control.
Mm-hmm.
There for a long time. I do think that people are learning now how to not take life too seriously, and which mightn't be good for us, to be honest with you, because we're kind of counting on people. We're counting on people to get offended by what we do, because I suppose bad news travels faster than good news. And so, whenever I put up a post, I'm looking for a 50-50 split in reaction. I'm actually looking to polarize, to try and get our name out there. And it's usually 80-20. For example, Bloggergate. 80% of people agreed with me, 20% agreed with herself. But it's those 20%, whether it's Bloggergate or the World War V or the gluten intolerant or BYOB or whatever it is, it's 20% who spread the word and they act like sales reps for us. So they talk about the White Moose Cafe, and we never have to pay them a cent. So we're counting on them to be there all the time.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. Last question. So let's talk about the culture of White Moose for a second. Now, the people that work for you, are they super happy to be a part of that? Do they feel, because I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, it feels like you're fighting for them when you're doing this because you're trying to make their job easier by not having them delve out free shit or deal with crazy people. And in the end, they're like, we like this. Do they feel a sense of belonging to this type of different culture? Do they love you?
I wouldn't say love, but I'd say they like working there because, you know, we have their back. And I don't deal with customers because I could say anything to a customer. I'll use logic in arguments, you know, and if the customer is wrong, I'll let them know they're wrong because the customer isn't always right in reality. But I suppose other workplaces might insist that the customer is always right, which kind of, you know, it's a dated, very dated, like we're talking going back 50s, 60s, where that was like a servant's attitude to say, like, that was a time. I don't think the customer's been always right since the late 80s. I think that shit has disappeared. At least it should have. And so saying that, I think it's different. Now you're seeing that now. Customers not are right when you see them fighting at McDonald's with one of the employees punching them in the face with a meal cart, whatever. Yeah. But I guess our social media acts as a filtration system. So we filter out the whingers, we filter out the negative people, the complainers, so that our space is occupied only by happy people who know what to expect. Like we've when people enter into our hotel, at the front there's a warning sign there saying we've no asshole sign, but we've a warning sign at the front saying warning, customers with no sense of humor are advised to enter at their own risk. Management do not accept responsibility for hurt feelings. So that kind of contextualizes what's going to happen. So they know, right? They know what's going to happen when they come in. And 9 times out of 10, they're very pleasant to our team, which means our team are happy.
Yeah.
And I've come from, I did hotel management in college. I spent a year in Switzerland where I worked as a waiter over there, and you know it's very much people clicking their fingers at you, and you're subservient and servile, and you're a number. You're not Paul Stenson. You're the bartender. You're a role, and that kind of, I didn't like that at all. So when I started the White Moose, I made every effort to not let that happen to our team.
I love it.
And so yeah, they may not love me,
but they like working there, and I feel like they're part, again, the culture of like that. You're not only you work at a place that's kind of like synonymous, like that's kind of famous online. That's kind of cool, right? There's some kind of like, you know, the reputation precedes itself. When they walk in, they probably have a lot of great conversations about that stuff. People coming there just for that must be kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie. And plus, I mean, the food looks really, really good. I mean, your cooks. I'm very excited.
Yeah. Well, actually, the way I put it, they come for the social media, they stay for the food, because actually the food isn't bad, you know. Josh, I think that internet fame is a bit like being famous on Instagram is a bit like being rich with Monopoly money.
Yeah.
You know, it's not really. But what happens is some people apply to work in the White Moose and they expect it to be a reality TV show, and it's not. It's a business, a functioning business. But like you do get people coming in, and you know they're supposed to be waiting tables and they're taking selfies, and you know that kind of thing happens as well.
Yeah.
And so, you know, people
I get that. And that makes absolute sense. That's kind of cool. But all right, Paul. So this has been an amazing interview. I'm so glad that we got to do this. Like I'm so happy that you said yes and agreed to it. But man, what can we expect out of the White Moose coming soon? Like I know we talked about the podcast a little bit, but like what are your plans going forward using this strategy you have that has been so successful, by the way? What's next?
So the great thing about what I do is it's not planned. I can't really plan for any of these things to happen. Like I couldn't plan for that miserable German couple, one of whom was a vegan. I mean, I couldn't plan for the girl who came in looking for gluten-free pancakes, and when we said, "Oh, you're celiac," she didn't know what the word meant. We can't plan for an English blogger to look for 5 nights for free over Valentine's week. So what we do is spontaneous, really. And I mean, like, I don't know usually what I'm going to be doing in the next hour, never mind the next year or whatever. So it's very much like, and that's one of the things about our social media. It's authentic and it's original and it's like fresh and it's not contrived or made up. It's like,
and I think I do like that genuineness about it, the authenticity of that. And I think that's why you draw a lot of people like me. I think, honestly, I'm drawn to genuine situations and people. And I think that's really cool. I think that's the best thing. But this podcast, I think, would be a great idea. And let me know when this thing goes down. Again, I'll help you with all that you need, because I think you got some great stories. Somebody who gets some, I'm sure you have some great guests. You can bring on ideas, talk about food, talk about culture, talk about social media. There's so many things you can talk about. You're a great storyteller. So I'm going to be binging.
I might bring you on.
I'm in. I mean, you're a great story. I could listen to your stories probably forever. Get that shit down so we can have that forever. You know what I mean?
You might play the guitar. You might play the guitar for me, will you?
I'll play a U2 song.
Yeah, I do. And I used to play the drums when I was.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Well, do you have live bands at your place?
We don't, because it's like the White Moose is kind of a daytime cafe.
Well,
you never know.
If I come through the band, we'll play somewhere, and you come up on stage, you play with us.
Yeah. Okay.
That's awesome.
Sounds like a plan.
Right. Awesome. Everybody, make sure you go head over and follow Paul on Facebook. White Moose is just White Moose Cafe.
So there's White Moose Cafe at White Moose Cafe, and my personal is at Paul V Stenson.
Yeah. Go follow. I'll link them all below. Make sure you guys go over there, follow them. It's hilarious. You guys don't take life too seriously. Have a laugh. Understand humor and satire, because that's basically what this is. And just when you can understand that, your life will be much better. I promise you. I promise. Yeah. Thanks, Paul. I appreciate you being on here.
Thank you very much, Josh. Lovely talking to you.